Good morning, folks. Just making sure everyone's in the right session. So this is the studio session about how to build interactive bots for Microsoft Teams. And in this module, you'll learn how to create and add a bot to a custom Microsoft Teams app. So what we're going to do is we're effectively going to start from scratch. And by the end of it, you should have your own very first interactive bot up and running in Teams. Our intent is to give you a scaffolding and an overview of how bots function in Teams that you can then use to customize for your own projects. Um, if you want to head over to this learn link, aka.ms slash learn slash teams bots, we'll also be pasting this in the feed, so you can go ahead and access it from there. But you could straight up type this into. So let me just walk you over through the agenda for today real quick. First up, we've got welcome and introductions. I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping, introduce myself, the moderators, and the general flow of what is going to happen here today. Then the main part of this course is going to be a hands-on learn module where we will go and I'll give you an overview and then we'll actually code and demo this bot on Teams. And the last 10 to 15 minutes I'll reserve for questions. If there aren't any questions, because this is an early morning session, I'll give an overview of the Teams platform and the various capabilities that we have, and what are the next steps that you can do once you've started your journey with for developing for Teams. So this is our team over here today. Hello, I'm Jasvi. I'm a product manager on the Microsoft Teams developer platform, and I work on bots, connectors, cards, messaging extensions. With me, I've got Ari, Raghav, Robin, Tatiana, June, Sid, and Susanna from our engineering and product marketing teams. So you've got 7 people on the call today who are experts in this field. So I would highly encourage you to ask questions as I'm following along. One of us will help you in chat if you're stuck during a particular piece that I'm doing. And if you've got like overall design questions as well, in terms of, hey, this is something that I'd like to develop, definitely recommend reaching out to one of these people who will be able to help you there. Additionally, I want you to know, I would like you to know that this session will be recorded. So try to follow along with me as much as it's possible for you, as much as it's feasible for you. If at some point you get stuck or the pace ends up being a little too fast, don't worry. We will release these recordings over YouTube or channel 9 so that you can come back and reference this same presentation and the same talk a week from now and just actually continue from wherever you left it. Yeah. So questions, please use the chat window and please adhere to the Microsoft build code of conduct. We'll also be pasting this in the chat for you to reference. Okay, so let's dive in. So for part 1, we're going to cover a few aspects. The first one being what type of scenarios are best handled by bots within Microsoft Teams. How do bots work? What are some differences in bot development for Microsoft Teams, and what makes bots in Microsoft Teams unique versus bot development for web chat, for example, if you're coming from the that model of bot development. Then I will actually dive in and use a sample and set up the scaffolding for building a bot. I hope you'll follow along with me, and if we do it right by the end, we'll have our first demo board up and running. And then lastly, I'm going to round it off with the basics of conversational bots. So just an overview of everything that we've discussed so far. We'll take it from there. Okay. Now I am heading back into the browser, and this is the Learn module for create interactive conversational bots for Microsoft Teams. The link for this is going to be in the chat. So if you'd like to follow along with me, this would be a great place to navigate to right now. Okay. Uh, in terms of so let's look at what this module is all about. So conversational bots allow users to interact with your web service through text, interactive adaptive cards, and task modules. These bots can be scoped to handle simple commands. Developers can also create complex artificial intelligence powered and natural language processing virtual agents. In this module, you'll learn how to create and add bots to custom Microsoft Teams apps. Pretty self-explanatory there. And I've used a lot of, might be possibly a few terminology that we're using over here, such as adaptive calls and task modules. If all of this doesn't make sense to you right now, I promise it will towards the end of the talk. I have some time carved out towards the end to dive deeper into all of the various pieces that are involved in building bots and teams and how they play together and what are the next resources for you to learn about them. Additionally, you can go ahead in the additional resources section. You might also find some code samples and exercises that are useful for you to look at. So, going in over here in the demo section, you'll find all the code associated with this Learn module and the PowerPoint presentation as well. Also, a quick shout out to Andrew Connell, who's the Microsoft MVP who developed this learning module. Going back over here, there's a screencast as well that walks you through the same learning module. So here's another option for you to go and perhaps dive deeper into the specific learning module. Okay. So let's get started with an overview of bots development within Microsoft Teams. The first thing that we're going to tackle is what tasks and what scenarios are best handled by bots in Microsoft Teams. So over here, like bots in Microsoft Teams can be part of a one-on-one conversation, a group chat, or in a channel or a team. Each scope provides unique opportunities and challenges for your conversational bots. So let me just give an overview of like what this basically means. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Teams or not, in which case this might still be useful. We've got three different types of scopes that users interact with and come and work together, come and collaborate on. The first one is a team or a channel. So over here, I have inside this demo tenant, I have the Market project team, and there are various channels related to design, digital web assets, or the go-to-market plan, or research and development. In every channel, people are talking about activity and discussing a plan that is specific to that to the theme of the channel. And in a team, you will have multiple members. In this team, I've got like 3 owners and 17 guests. We've got 20 people who are collaborating together on a particular topic. So that is the team and the channel context. The one-on-one conversation from a bot's perspective is over here I have a bot and this is me directly interacting and chatting with the bot. So over here, I mean, we have this bot configured as a little bit of a personal assistant. So what you can see is I can type in a message and say, hello, Edith. And it's going to reply back with saying, good evening, sir. Burning the midnight oil today, are we? Yes, the presentation is going very well. So you have we're interacting with the bot in a one-on-one manner where the conversation is just between the user and the bot. The third context that we're operating under is a group chat where I'm talking to Megan and Esther, and I could potentially add a bot to this conversation. And in terms of like a scenario perspective, this is somewhat similar to what you would do for a bot inside a team or a channel. Okay, jumping back in. So bots inside channel. So what scenarios make the most sense for bots inside a channel? Since you've got a number of users coming together to collaborate on a shared topic, notifications are a great example of a bot or a value add scenario inside a channel. You can think of it as, let's say there is some sort of a incident management team or a channel going on where your bot is firing incidents. So there's a sev1, a sev2, or a sev3, and with each incident has its own adaptive card or any card associated with them, which tells you who is the engineer who's assigned to this card. And underneath in that channel, people can have a conversation, they can take some actions of the card, they can resolve the incident, they can assign it to themselves, and they can move the investigation further along. So this type of a notifications based scenario where there is some event that has happened in your external service that you want to bring into teams and have people collaborate around around a channel is a great example of what's working in a channel. The second type of scenarios that work really well are feedback scenarios or collaborative scenarios such as polling or survey. So again, because you've got just by the nature of collaboration, you've got multiple people who want to all answer or zero in on a few options. So polling and surveys work well. So let me give you an example of this. So heading back, I could create a poly poll over here, and the poll question could be, you know, to be or not to be. And the first option is B, and the second option is B. And I mean, this is just a sample poll. In an actual situation, it might be, hey, where are we going for lunch? Or when would we like the next meeting to be? It could also be some sort of a feedback question where you're asking for a survey as to how the last product plan or how the last sprint went, or some sort of checklist scenario where you're trying to like track the work items that need to get finished inside a team. So when I hit preview, it generates a card for me and shows me a preview of how this is going to look inside a channel. And then I send it. And the bot has informed me in one-on-one context that my poll was sent. Uh, Moving back to the channel, I can see my poll over here posted inside the channel. So I'm logged in as MOD administrator. And that's the owner name over here, and I'm going to go ahead and submit the vote. And you can see that in the second card over here, which is tracking the poll results, the results were updated by the bot. So the bot actually has the ability to update card results as well. Okay, so that is a polling scenario inside Teams. If I can summarize the essence of this discussion in one line, it's basically going to be this: interactions that can be solved in a single request response cycle, where results are useful for multiple members of a conversation, make the most sense inside a channel. So what you're looking for is a compact display of the problem or the scenario inside a channel, and some sort of quick mitigation or a quick action that a user can take to resolve it or to interact with your bot. And it has to be something that multiple people can come together and collaborate on. Bots in group chats from a scenario perspective work similar to how they would inside a channel. So the polling scenario, for example, that we just saw would be a great example of discussing it in a group chat. So if you've got a group chat where people discuss where they want to go for lunch or what they want to have for lunch, that might be a great scenario to think of. Or when they want to have a lunch call together and virtually have lunch together. Bots in one-on-one chats. So this is the traditional method of conversational bot of interacting with conversational bots. We already saw in our example with our virtual assistant over here, our AI-powered virtual assistant, which can take care of a few basic commands. For the time being, we're training it. It'll, eventually with time get a lot smarter. But the scenarios that make the most sense over here would be a bot that helps an individual accomplish a particular task, where it's about informing one user and acting in a personal assistant sort. So an HR web bot, which is helping with HR policies, or an FAQ plus bot, which is helping with, let's say, the IT policies of an organization, and escalating to an IT admin when needed if the bot can't resolve it by itself, are great examples of bots operating in a one-on-one chat in a scope. Another good example that you might want to consider is expense reporting, where let's say you're on your phone and there is a receipt that needs to be logged. So a conversational bot is a great in a one-on-one chat is another great example of that, because think of it as you're just interacting with one user, and that one user's problem and scenarios is what you want to solve over there. Okay, so that was an overview of the scenarios for bots in Teams. So let's just briefly look at like what are the three components that are required for running a bot. The first component is a publicly accessible web service that you host. So this is going to be the heart of your bot, where you implement the code and the logic or the business logic of what exactly your app does. The second thing is you need to register your bot with the Microsoft Bot Framework, so we know who your service is and what it can do. And the last thing is that you need a Teams app package that contains the app manifest. So the app manifest, so if this doesn't make sense to you right now, we will go through this one as well. But just very briefly, the Teams app manifest is a simple JSON file that helps teams understand the capabilities of your app. So let's say that you're developing a bot and needs to operate in a conversational one-on-one scope, versus it's more of a polling scenario which needs to operate inside a team or a channel. This is how you explain to teams what the bot can do and where it should be installed and how it should be used by users. And we'll dive deeper into this. I'll show you an example. Okay. So let's look at how bots in Microsoft Teams are unique. So before I do that, let me just head over to the bot framework documentation of how bots work. And if you type in how bots work, Microsoft Bot Framework, this page will come up. We will also share it in the group chat, so you can directly access it over there. Okay. So let me just read through it from over here. A bot is an app that users interact with in a conversational way. We've gone through this. And every interaction, so the interaction could be in the form of using a text, or graphics, card, or image, or speech. Every interaction between the user and the bot generates what is called an activity. So in this example over here on the left, they've got a channel, which in our case would be Microsoft Teams, and we've got your bot. So any round trip over here, for example, the user sending a hi message to the bot and the bot replying, acknowledging the message, is going to be considered an activity from the perspective of the Bot Framework SDK. So where bots differ within Microsoft Teams is that the Bot Framework SDK provides a base activity handler class that simplifies all of these methods and makes development easier for you. The Microsoft Teams SDK for bot development has another class called the Teams Activity Handler, which is derived from this class and has got additional methods associated with it. So what are these methods and what type of events do they subscribe to? Well, as you can imagine, they're subscribing to team-specific events. Some example of these would be team member events, where a team member is added or removed. Channel events, where a channel is created, renamed, deleted. Team events, where the team name itself is renamed, and message reactions. So over here, for example, if I go like a particular message, this reaction is being sent to the bot, and it may choose to do something or something, or some. It may or may not choose to do something with it. In our example today, we're going to use message reactions and acknowledge these as part of our sample bot. Um, so these are just a few sample scenarios as part of the Teams activity handler class. There are, to get you started, there are more, more nuanced and more powerful use cases such as messaging extensions and compose extensions that are available as part of the Teams activity handler class. If you're not familiar with what messaging extensions are, towards the end of this presentation, I'll be giving you a brief overview, and those are the methods, those are the really powerful methods that are present in the Teams activity handler class that helps you create potentially a different, somewhat related, but a different app type, all from the same SDK. So, no matter what you're doing, it's all the same bot framework, Teams SDK. Okay. So developing bots for Microsoft Teams. To create a conversational bot for Microsoft Teams, you need to do the following things. The first thing is you need to create a web service, then you need to register the bot with the Microsoft Bot Framework. Okay, so we've already covered this. So let's look at create a web service. So the heart of your bot is its web service. This is where you have all of the business logic and you implement the scenarios associated with it. It essentially defines a single HTTPS route on which you will receive all requests. The Microsoft Bot Framework will send different types of messages to your web service. So in order to set up your web service, you can, I think one option to get you up and running real quick is to use one of our SDKs for bot development. We recommend that you either use the C# SDK or the JavaScript or the TypeScript SDKs with Node.js to get up and running. These will greatly simplify your process. Essentially, what it does is that, for example, in the messaging extension case, when a messaging extension app is invoked, it will detect the messaging type as compose extension / fetch task for that particular scenario and call the corresponding method associated with it. Okay. This next thing that we need to do is that we need to register our service with the Microsoft Bot Framework, and this is quite frankly just easily explained by doing it. So I will use a tool called App Studio, which you can use for to help simplify your development process with Microsoft Teams. And I'll show you how this is done when I'm doing it. And lastly, you will create the Teams app manifest in the app package. So one thing I want to call out is the way the module is structured. Unit 2 is the overview, Unit 3 is the exercise. So how I'm covering it right now is I'm going through Unit 2 and Unit 3 together. And I won't go through all of the details in the exercise for Unit 3. What I'll do is I'll give you the overview and the high-level scaffolding to get started on it yourself. Similarly, I'll cover 4 and 5 together, and I will give you some sort of high-level overview so you understand how to do this module by yourself, just in the interest of time. Then I'll quickly cover proactive messaging towards the end, and then give you we'll dive into messaging extensions and the different platform capabilities, and just provide like the next steps on how you can learn all of these concepts further. Okay, so let's get started and actually build the service out. So the first thing we need to do is let's head over. So we're going to grab a sample from the Microsoft Bot Framework. So I'm going to type in Microsoft Bot Builder samples, and we'll it's the first link over here. We will, again, this link is also going to be available in the group chat. So if you want to go and access it from there, please do so. And what you need to do is let's start by cloning this repository. So you can also download the zip file if you don't have Git on you right now. Either option works. I'm gonna head back into the folder, and I have a sample folder over here. Don't get clone. Okay. So while this will take some time, and I'll wait for you. While that is happening, let's head back into the repository and look at the actual sample that we're going to use today. So the sample that we're using is sample number 57, Teams Conversational Bot. What it does is it demonstrates various conversational feature of bots and Teams. It can message all members in a team on a channel. It can you can add mention a user from a bot, and you can update previously sent messages. Another great thing about this repository is that we have a lot of Teams related samples. For example, if you want to get started with messaging extensions, you can get the scaffolding and get up and running over here. We've made these samples to be very concise and complete in the sense that they achieve the desired result and they are easily extensible for your use case. So you can come in, uh, see how this particular functionality is being achieved in Teams by the sample and then extend it for what you want to do. So head over to the second column. So the first one is this C# sample. What we want is the JavaScript sample. And go over here. And within this, we're going to use the Teams conversation bot. So over here, we've got the steps described to get this bot up and running. So the first thing was to clone the repository. We've already done that. And the second one would be to navigate to the sample inside the to navigate to the JavaScript to navigate to this folder inside the main repo. Then we'll install the Git modules and use NRock to tunnel requests in. I'll go into the purpose of NRock and what it is. In the meantime, if you would like to download NRock, go to nrock.com and we'll post the link for this again as well. And just download this utility. But when I come to this particular the demo portion for this particular when I'm in the part of the demo where we need NRock, I'll explain why we're doing this further. Then steps 5, 6, and 7 are we are registering the bot with the Azure with the Microsoft Bot Framework. I'm going to use a slightly different method of doing this. I will use the Teams App Studio, which is one of the easier, which is relatively one of the easier, more streamlined methods of doing this. You're more welcome to, you're more free to, choose any method that you wish to do this. And in fact, if you like what we're doing right now only applies to hosting the bot locally, which is what the purpose of this conversation is. It's just to give you an overview and host the bot locally to get the development started. Obviously, as you're going to get closer to deployment and you will actually have to deploy the bot for production to be used by actual users, you would want it hosted on some sort of public cloud such as Microsoft Azure. So these steps will be more applicable for you, and I highly recommend that you check these out over there. And in the Learn module, it's a similar framework. It's more geared towards getting you up and running over there. Yeah. Okay, and then we will go ahead and run the bot by npm start. Okay, so now let's go ahead and open Visual Studio Code. And let's navigate to this particular folder that we have over here. So I'm going to go into File, Open Folder. In C drive, since I just used delete me 3 bot builder samples, I think JavaScript Node.js and sample 57 select folder. Okay, let me just check this is the correct one. Okay, yeah, this is indeed the correct one. So open the Teams conversational bot.javascript file and the index.javascript file. So these are the two files that we will need today. Just for the purpose of the scaffolding, I'm going to make things a little more streamlined and easier. If you want to look at the Learn module and follow along in more detail, I think that would be a great exercise to do as well later on. Okay. So let me head back over here real quick. Before I get started with the Visual Studio side of things, here's a couple of suggestions to you. We will be switching back and forth a lot between Visual Studio and Microsoft Teams. So I'm assuming that everyone is using Microsoft Teams for watching this event. So it'll make it it'll make it easier for you if you will be using Microsoft Teams to set up the app manifest and scaffolding and finally installing the bot in Teams. So it'll make it really easy for you if you open up the team inside your demo Microsoft 365 demo tenant inside a web browser. So you can use an incognito window for following along for that portion. If you're doing that, make sure that you're logged in from the admin account, because we want to upload this app finally, and we need something called sideloading enabled for the demo tenant, which might not be enabled for all demo tenants, and you can go ahead and do that. We'll share instructions on how sideloading is done. But even if you enable it right now, it takes a little while for the policies to go over and actually take effect. So if in that case, if you are logged in from the admin account, you will be able to make progress. If not, you can always come back a week from now and then continue from that point where sideloading is disabled. But yeah, please open the Teams app inside a browser. It will just make the development experience easier for you as you follow along. Heading back, let's open the terminal, and I'm going to select new terminal and type in npm install. This is going to fetch all the modules for us. You'll see a few warnings and errors over here. That's fine for our demo purposes. It'll suffice. This is happening. Let me just go ahead and monitor a few questions while that's going on. Okay. Nothing particular. Okay. Great. So this is done. Everything just worked well. Let me know. I think one thing that will really help us, since this is a live stream, and typically this would be a workshop format where I could walk around with you and answer questions. I don't have that right now, so let me know how we're doing on pace in the chat, and we can try and modulate that a little maybe. If it gets too overwhelming, then don't worry. We will have this entire video up, so you can always reference it back on your own time later. Okay. Now heading back into the browser. So if we've effectively created a web service up until this point, we've got the basic code up, and we haven't got it up and running, but it's there. We've gone ahead and used one of the bot builder samples, and we have the heart of the web service on there. Now let's go ahead and register, create a bot and create some sort of registration with the Microsoft Bot Framework. So for that, what we need to do is we need to head over into Microsoft, inside Microsoft Teams. And there's an app that we need, which is called App Studio, which will help set this up for us. So in apps, search for App Studio. So it'll show up as App Studio Developer Tools. So this app is created by Microsoft. It's created by our team, and it helps you, and it's a neat way for you that helps streamline the manifest creation for you. It also helps you. It's also got tools such as validation. So once you've developed the app, you can submit it to Microsoft for it to be part of the store catalog. We've also got a card editor that you can use to play around with adaptive cards or bot framework cards to see how they'll be rendered inside Microsoft Teams. If I have time, I promise to come back to this, but we might be pressed for time towards the end, but we'll see. But you should check this out later. So within the manifest editor, go ahead and select create a new app. And the first thing, this is where we're going to create the manifest simultaneously and create some sort of association between register a bot and create some sort of association between our service and the bot framework. What the first thing that we require is, we're in the details section. So over here, we're providing some basic information about our app, such as a short name, an app ID, which it'll generate for you, package name, a description, what exactly this app does, developer information, the terms of use, the privacy statement, and you've also got the opportunity to bring in branding. So this is where you can bring in your app's character, feel, and personalization. So you can customize the icons too. I wouldn't be doing that today, but if you were going to actually productize this app, then these are things that you would really want to do, right? Okay. So let's give our app a name. I'm going to call it Convo Demo Bot, and I will ask it to generate an app ID for me. Let's give it a package name and a manifest version, a short description, full description for this thing. I'm just going to copy over whatever we have over here. Copy this as well, just FYI for myself. Okay. And then the developer information, I'm just going to type in Quintoso, the website. Just copy that over and paste it in the privacy statement and the terms of use. Then finally, if you choose to, you can add an icon as well over here if you've got something handy. The next thing is so now we're done with the detail section. So let's jump into the capabilities section. So the way we think about apps and teams is the top level construct is an app, and then every app has a set of capabilities associated with it. One of the main ones is a bot, which is what we're going to talk about today. And we've also got tabs, connectors, and messaging extensions. As promised earlier, all of these I'll give some sort of an overview today. And to make an app powerful, usually a combination of one or two capabilities will make your app really shine through. So I've seen a lot of good combinations of bots and messaging extensions. The Poly app, for example, is a bot and a messaging extension as well. Similarly, there are apps that will use a bot and a tab. So the bot is being used to have some sort of one-on-one conversational interaction with the user, and a tab is basically a web app inside of Teams that is used to track the larger scope of what's going on within your app. So go ahead. Right now we're just focusing on bots. So go ahead and select bots and click setup. Within new bot, give your bot a name. So what was the name that I given it? And over here, you see we need scope. So this is the conversation that we had a while ago, where we spent a lot of time on understanding the scope of what your bot operates in. So go ahead and check personal, team, and group, because we want our bot to operate in all three scopes. And then click create bot. And let's wait. Let's see. This might take a few seconds. Okay. So what this does is this takes care of the second step in the process for us. App Studio has taken care of it's created a bot ID, and will also shortly generate a password. Both of these two combined will be used for your registration, for linking your service to the Microsoft Bot Framework. So step two gets really simplified if you're using App Studio. So go ahead and copy over the bot ID from here, and moving back into Visual Studio Code, and in the index.javascript file, in line 23, you will see there's an app ID. So this is part of the bot framework adapter, and you can learn more about it over here. You can also edit this as part of the environment file. I'm just going to keep things simple and streamline it over here. If you're productizing it, you might want to do it over there. So just paste the app ID inside over here, and the other thing that we need is the app password. So go ahead and click generate new password. Copy it over. So make sure you do copy this, because you will only be able to see this once, and if you lose it, not to worry, you will be able to generate it once more, but you'll only see it once. So make sure you copy it. Heading back into Visual Studio Code. And paste it back over here. So the combination of an app ID and the app password will link this particular instance of this service with the Microsoft Bot Framework. Okay, so back on. Now the next thing that we need is a messaging endpoint. So this is the portion where we're going to use NRock. So what NRock is basically a tunneling service that allows us to connect a web server running locally on our machine to the internet. What it does is, the way it's going to work is, Microsoft Bot Framework is going to talk to the public HTTPS endpoint created by NRock, and NRock is going to tunnel or route that request to the web server running locally on our machine. So it's a simple command. We're going to just type in NRock HTTP port number. For our case, I think we're using port number 3978, so that's what it's going to be. So now I'm gonna head over into NRock and get that started. So I have it over here with me. So just type in NRock HTTP 3978, and it gives us this HTTPS URL. So copy it. So you do want to get the secure endpoint, because in Teams we will only accept the secure endpoint over here for communicating with bots. Another common pitfall that we see a lot of folks going through over here is that you need to append API/messages to this URL. The reason being is that our service is listening to our service is listening to incoming requests under the API/messages domain. So you would want to use this. Okay. So I think with this point we're set up. we have the bot registered with bot framework, and we've got it linked to the pod instance that we have running locally. So what we can do is we're actually ready to test and distribute it. But before we do that, let's just quickly start our service. So all you need to do is npm start, be up and running. Great. Okay, so we're listening to it on 3978. Back in Teams. Okay. So we've defined the details, we've specified the capability, and now let's finish it up by installing the app. So go ahead and click install and add the bot for yourself. So I'm going to click add. And I have the bot up and running over here. So I'm going to say hello. And if this is working, we should see a welcome message from the card. Great. So here we have it, our simple conversational bot. So one of the things that it does is it can detect who I am, and it can extract my name and let me know that. So you can think of this as sometimes when you're communicating with a user, you really want to know what their identity is. You can use it to customize and target messages to an individual user. So this particular sample code and the demo that we have over here allows you to build on top of this scenario. Another neat little scenario that we have over here is mentioning a user. So I can say mention me. And it mentions that it mentions my name as the MOD administrator. So this is useful because every time a bot mentions you over here, it shows up in the activity feed, and that gives a notification to the user. So you might want to use this in scenarios such as incident management that we discussed earlier, where you're targeting a notification to the DRI responsible for a particular incident. Or any sort of notification from the bot that requires that is urgently required, or that would be important for the user to look at. Okay, let's go ahead and let's jump back into the Learn module. So if you followed along till this point, congrats, you have your first bot up and running within Microsoft Teams. You've created your very own web service. You've gone ahead and registered it with the Microsoft Bot Framework. And lastly, you've created the package with the Microsoft Teams app manifest, and you were able to upload the app package onto Microsoft Teams. So you, at this point, have successfully completed, I would say, the high-level objectives of Unit 2 and 3. There is a lot more that Unit 3 has to offer in terms of the nitty-gritties of the methods involved over here. So I would highly recommend that you go look at that as well. Before I move on to Unit 3, I want to call out one more thing over here. That for some of you, when you went in the manifest editor, so I'm going to use this. When you clicked test and distribute, and when you used install, you might not have seen an add option over here. What you might have seen is something that's barring you from sideloading this app onto your demo tenant. In which case, what you need to do is you need to enable sideloading for the demo tenant. So we'll share the instructions for that, but a workaround that we have over here is that if you do not have this enabled right now and you're logged in as the admin account from the demo tenant, we can do something slightly different. So I can go ahead and download the app package, and then I can upload it into Microsoft Teams from the App Store. So if I head over into apps over here, and right at the bottom, you see this option to upload a custom app. So if I am the IT admin, I can go ahead, click upload for Contoso, and I can select this app package, the one that I created today. And when I do that, it'll show up in my in the tenant store. So this is where it's available for all users inside your tenant. It shows up in the LOB app catalog store, and I can go ahead and add it. So this time I'm going to add it to a team, and I will add it to the Mark 8 project team. Set a bot, and that takes care of it. So here is the bot replying back to us inside a channel. Great. So we've created our bot, and now we've set it up in two different contexts within team. The first one being an individual bot chat for a particular user, and the second one being inside a channel where it's accessible to all users and members of that team and channel. Okay. With that, we have largely completed unit 2 and 3. So let's go ahead and jump into unit 4 and 5. So unit 4 and 5 is going to be about bots in Microsoft Teams and channels. Can you just okay? I'm just monitoring chat to see if there's any feedback. Yeah. So let's look at bot development inside Microsoft Teams channels and group chats. So conversational bots can do many things with the Microsoft Team client. They can subscribe to channel or group chat events, listen to and act on Microsoft Teams specific events, and even update their own messages. In this unit, you'll learn how to expand on your existing bot and add some of this functionality. So what I'm going to do is that I will walk you through a couple of these events. I'll showcase what these events could be, and then we're going to actually code one of them. The one that I'm going to code is message reactions, where we're going to like a bot's message and we will have the bot reply as a thank you message. There are a lot of others that are part of this learn module that you should go ahead and check out later. But let's just see what a bot can do inside a channel from a scenario side. The first thing it can do is, since it has access to all the members inside the channel, it has the ability to message all members. So when I click this particular button, it'll send a member to all, it'll send a message. So over here, it sent a message to me, as well as it sent a message to every other user who was in this channel. It has the ability to update a particular card. So when I click the update card, it's updating it with a count. It has the ability to delete a card. So over here, I can delete an existing card and the message is no longer available. I can use my trusty personal assistant Edith to understand this a little better. So over here, let's say hi, and over here, so you can see it can get the profile of it can get the team profile. So we're using the team profile. We have APIs. The bot has access to APIs where it can understand the team profile. So over here in this particular team, I've got 5 channels, I've got 20 members, and I've got the name of the team. I can also get information about all the members, and I can use this information over here to send the message to all members, like the conversational demo bot did earlier. So that's an example of a scenario and the basic functions that you would need that you could use inside a channel context. So let's go ahead and look at the team specific capability around message reactions that we have over here. So I'm in unit, if you're following along, I'm in unit 4. And what I want you to do is I want you to copy this code for message reactions, the on reactions method. I'll copy it all the way from the line underneath await next till the starting of this method. You don't need to get the class and the constructors because we've already got this scaffolding for us here. So back in Visual Studio Code inside Teams conversational bot.javascript, Underneath the on member is added a method. Just go ahead and paste it in. You might want to delete these annotations because we're using JavaScript for this particular sample. But if you're using TypeScript, then you don't need to do that. You can just keep it. And everything else will work exactly as is. So it should work exactly as is. Since this is a live demo, you never know. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to terminate the service and start it again. npm start. It's back up and running. And now if I like our bot's message, it should reply back and say thank you to us. Great. Okay, there it is. It works. So that's it. That was your first minor edit inside building a bot for Teams, where you took a sample and you added a little bit of a message every time a user sent a like reaction to your bot. So I hope you learned a little bit of something today about developing bots for Microsoft Teams. With that, I think there is a lot more to this unit. It's a great source for digging deeper into bots, but I think for the time being, I've given you the high-level overview and the essence of what it means to develop over here. Let me show you another neat trick. So if you go into NRock and you look at localhost 4040, at this particular port, you will see all of the incoming activity requests from Microsoft Teams. So for the last one, you can see over here that the reaction added type like was sent to your bot. You can also see the tenant ID where this is coming from. You can see who is the user, the scope that this is coming from, as well as the user who is sending this, as well as the recipient, as well as the user who is sending this, the particular message. Let's go ahead and look at a few other. So this one came from the channel context, and this was about deleting the card that we had earlier, and it was from the admin. So it was from admin, and users have this 29 colon associated with them. This was the update card action, again from the admin. So if you're debugging, this ends up being a neat tool to identify, to actually view the contents of the API. So heading back in to the learn module, let's jump into unit 5 and 6, and let me just give you a brief overview of proactive messages for bots. So proactive messages are sent by a bot to start a conversation. Welcome message and pull responses are an external event notifications are common scenarios to use for proactive messaging. So if you've done bot development, or if you're doing bot development, typically what happens is that most of the bot interactions happen in response to something that the user is saying to you. So in all of these scenarios, I say to the bot hello, or I ask the bot to update the card, or I am asking for some sort of action from the bot. And that is how the majority of scenarios will be. But there are some scenarios, very specific scenarios, very specific and powerful scenarios, where it might actually make sense for the bot to reach out to the user. The two scenarios where it makes the most sense are welcome messages and notification messages. A welcome message is when your bot is, say, installed for the first time, or the user is joining a team, and you want to let them know that the bot has been installed, that that this particular bot is installed into a team. So you've got, like, for example, an icebreaker bot that pairs coworkers up for coffee every other week or every 2 weeks. And when a new user joins this team, you will want to send them a welcome message that, hey, I am a bot X, Y, and Z. every Friday or every Monday, I'm going to pair you up with another user. This is what my functionality is, and and introduce the capabilities of your bot. So in that case, a welcome message is going to be really powerful and help raise awareness and drive engagement for your bot. The other scenario that makes a lot of sense over here is sending a notification message. So a notification message, the typical scenario is there is some sort of external activity that has happened outside the purview of Teams that your bot understands that you want to make the user aware of. An example of this would be let's say that you have an LOB bot that is sending announcements to all users. So if there are some travel related updates, or if there are some company-wide announcements or like company-wide polls or surveys that need to be sent, then these can be sent as part of the bot. And you can engage all users inside a team or a tenant depending on how you set it up. So that's another great example of a notification message. Another example might be, if someone as a DRI is, if you've got an incident management system coming in where incidents are popping through, so you might want to send notifications over there and inform the users as the situation evolves, or if a ticket has been created, and multiple users are collaborating on a particular scenario inside the channel, and the status of a work item has changed. One thing is to be mindful of the fact that to use this functionality sparingly, and you want to provide enough information to users and inform them as to why they're being messaged. Otherwise, the scenario might feel a little too spammy from a user because it is unprompted messaging from the bot side. So be mindful of that. They might block the bot if they feel like it's too spammy, but for the most part, I'm sure you'll come up with a nice scenario. Okay. So heading back, proactive messaging. So Unit 7 helps you set up proactive messaging. Within Microsoft Build, we've also got, so all of these slides that I have over here, they're available on the GitHub, and they cover the same events that I've gone through over here. Within Microsoft Build, we've got a series of scenarios associated with application development for teams. One of these is tips for Teams developers around authentication and proactive messaging. So this is skilling session 106. If you're interested in proactive messaging, I would highly recommend that you check it out. We cover proactive messaging in a lot of detail. And we cover proactive messaging in a lot of detail, and we cover nuances such as the rate limits that you might have to work under, the process of fetching all the members inside an organization, and the additional permissions that you might need from the Microsoft Graph API, depending on how you want to set it up. Yeah, I definitely do recommend you check it out. And we've got a lot of other scenarios, a lot of other sessions too. Create DevOps workspaces and teams might also be relevant if you're looking to, if you're looking for a bot-specific solution, or like an incident management type of solution within Microsoft Teams. So let's quickly run through what we. Let me quickly give you an overview of what we did today. So what the typical app development process in Teams can be categorized into 4 steps. The first one is define your app. So this is where we were in the app manifest and we specified the capabilities of our app. Today we built a bot. For you, tomorrow it could be a tab or a messaging extension. So over here you are coming in and you're specifying, okay, this is my scenario. This is what I would like to accomplish for Microsoft Teams by the end of everything. And hey Teams, this is the overview of my app. The second thing is you would implement the capabilities. So you would implement the bot, the tab, or whatever else, and this is where you actually code and build your app out. So the analogous was we got the sample from Bot Builder, and we set up the scaffolding for a basic conversational bot. We highly recommend that you use the Teams SDKs to get yourself up and running faster. Today we hosted it locally and tunneled the requests via NRock. If you're doing this and actually want to deploy your bot, you will want to host it on Azure. The third thing that you want to do it is you will test your app. So we created the app package and we sideloaded it onto Teams. And the last thing that we did was we were able to upload the app package. So we tested it. We uploaded it in the person context, in the Teams context, and we played around it with a little, and we saw that it was working. And lastly, this is the final step where you've tested your app, you've defined the capabilities, everything is done, you're ready to upload the app package. So you send it to, you can provide it to Mopo. Sorry, you can provide it to AppSource, and you can provide it to Microsoft App Catalog, so we can show it in the Microsoft Team Store. Or you can enable it for your, your apps, your tenants LOB apps, app catalog. So you saw how from the administrator account, I was able to put it in the inside my tenants app catalog. So you could do it over there as well. So really quick, let me provide you an overview of the various extensibility endpoints that we have in the Teams platform, as I promised earlier. So we've got tabs, bots, message extensions, task modules, and notifications. Tabs are basically they are a Microsoft Teams specific way of they are a way to bring your web applications within Microsoft Teams with the additional context of Microsoft Teams, such as the channel or the team that it's operating in. If you want a big, if you want a expansive UI campus, if you want a big UI canvas, these are the right tool for you. Bots we've already discussed in details today. Message actions and extensions I'll cover shortly, but these are like really powerful collaborative tools that users can access directly from the Compose box. Task modules are dialogues for completing tasks such as creating a form, entry, lookup. Typically, whenever you want to keep one-on-one interaction and gather data inside a channel context, task modules will help you accomplish that. And lastly, you've got notifications. So we already covered notifications. There is an alternate way inside Teams to set up notifications, that is via incoming webhooks and connectors. And you can learn more about that. I'll share some pointers. So a few team specific scenarios. The three that I like that I'm going to focus on right now are collaborate, initiate workflows, and notify. Teams being an app that is that brings people together, and collaboration being the central use case for Teams. Think of your app as providing some sort of a scenario or a benefit that is adding value in that sense. Whether it be incident management or DRI, you're bringing people together, having them collaborate and chat about a particular incident, so then they can move the investigation further along. The second one is initiate workflow. So if you've got workflows such as approvals, where let's say you want a travel approval and you want that approved from a manager and some other representative, and it is a complex approval that needs to go to 2-3 people, and that's happening within a channel, your bot could potentially be the one that is helping set that up. Third one being notification, where incidents are happening or you have a company-wide app that sends notifications to everyone. So on the notification standpoint, if you head over to the Office handle on GitHub or on the Microsoft Teams dev docs page, and I'll have the links handy towards the end, you will find app templates. These are basically sample apps that help you accomplish certain scenarios. So the one that we have for notifying is an app called Company Communicator that is used to send messages to all employees inside a tenant. So if you're interested in notifications, check that out. We've also got applications for, let's say, an HR bot or an FAQ plus bot that you can quickly bootstrap to get up and running in Teams. Just real quick, we've discussed. Sorry, that's my alarm. It's really early over here in Seattle. So, uh, so within Microsoft Teams, you've got two contexts. The first one is a team and a channel, and the second one is personal. Within a team and a channel, you're talking about complex workflows. You're building, you're bringing people together, and you're sharing information. And in the personal context, it's about helping an individual user complete tasks and collect information. So we've gone into this in more detail, but just sharing this over here because it is important. It changes the context of your app, publishing apps to the store, to your local tenant, or to a team for testing purposes. So let's look at messaging extensions real quick. So over here, I am in the conversational campus. I'm inside a chat. I'm inside a channel. And right below the compose box, you see an apps icon over here. So when I click on it, it shows this pop-up to me, and I can go ahead and search for a particular task. And when I search for it, I click on it, I can directly insert this card type into a channel so then people can talk about it. I can also add a little bit of a line about, hey, here's the project I was talking about earlier, so I can share some more context around this particular item. Similarly, message extensions for actions. I'm starting from the same entry point. I go ahead and click this plus bar. So in our case, it's plus. It could be a different experience for you. And then what I do is I can create a card. I can create a new work item from within Teams. Maybe the work item that I have wasn't really visible earlier. And it creates it, and then it inserts it back into the channel. And lastly, we've got link and following, which is a very powerful use case. Typically, what you'll see is that people are interacting with work items inside a browser. So they're probably on some sort of an app, let's say Visual Studio or Azure DevOps. You go ahead, you copy it, and then you paste the link in Teams. And what Teams does is it automatically unfolds it into the basic website, and then the user can press this little bit of an arrow, and it creates a rich card type which shows the status of this work item. So this last step we're actually optimizing, so it just goes from this slide to this slide, and the card gets automatically unfolded for you. So we understand the domain, and then we make a call to your service and fetch the card back. Great, and that enables collaboration. So I have a few minutes. Let me see. Okay, we've got a few questions. Let me take them. Can I mention users inside cards? Yes, you can. Can I add mention channels? Right, we're working on this functionality. So if this is important for you, go ahead and create an item over in user voice. We'll track it over there. So this feature is on our backlog. And can I create a bot using a designer? Yes, you can. So today we covered how you can create a bot using Azure and the Microsoft Bot Framework. You can also build bots using entities such as Power Virtual Agents, which help simplify this process. And if you're looking for a low-code, no-code solution, then you should look at Power Virtual Agents being one of the solutions over there. Let me point you to some next resources. The one that I would really recommend you start with is ak.ms Teams Dev Docs. If you are new to application development for Teams, definitely start over here. Follow our blog for the latest updates. And the GitHub Bot Builder samples is always a great place for you to get started. So let me end this presentation. So back in the Microsoft Teams Learn path over here. So within the Microsoft Teams Learn series, we've got a few more learning modules that you can use to further your understanding. The first one being task-oriented interactions in Microsoft Teams with messaging extensions. So we just covered what messaging extensions are. You can dive deeper into the specifics of messaging extension with this learning module and create this app for yourself. Then you can learn about creating tabs. You can also learn about creating task modules. You can also learn about creating incoming webhooks and connectors. So by the end of this course, and we've already looked at bots today, so we've got a fairly comprehensive solution for you to understand the entire platform end to end that you can then use to get up and running within Microsoft Teams. And finally, yeah, so we're running short of time, so that's all I have for you today. So go ahead and continue on with your learning path. Thank you so much for attending today's session. I had a great time presenting for you. Please do share feedback with us. Go ahead, go on to ak.ms mybuild evals and let us know how the session was for you. And please return back to the main event at mybuild.com and check out mybuild.microsoft.com and check out what's happening over here. Thank you so much for following along. I hope this was valuable for you. Bye.